Hello, my little pretties. It's the Queen of Lions here. And yeah, welcome back to another episode of Shadows and Pretties. And today, this is episode 110. Now, I decided to do a Shadows and Pretties episode on a TV show. And most of you guys may be familiar with this if you watched it on the Disney Channel and all that. But you guys are thinking maybe it would have been like a Teletoon Network TV show. Well, it kind of reminds me of that, but it's not really that. It's a Disney Channel show. And today I am going to be talking about is Gravity Falls. Now, you guys probably have heard of what Gravity Falls is, and for those of you who don't know the show in detail or anything like that, well, I'm going to be, explaining what the show is cuz some of you guys might remember the show. I really don't know. Some of you guys might know the show. Like, if you guys don't know the show, then yeah, here's my thoughts on the show. So, at first, when I first saw Gravity Falls being advertised on TV, I thought it wasn't going to be, as good as I was, expecting it to not be good or anything. Because this show was made back in 2012 and a bit in 2013. Mainly 2012 it was made. I didn't really hear about this show very much until I was in grade 10. Like, when I was going into my sophomore year of high school, or grade 10 in that case, I actually have seen the show being advertised. And at first, I didn't, think it was going to be any good, but, I'd started getting into them when I started taking a look at the show itself. Like, I started looking into the show thinking, oh, it looks pretty interesting. So I watched maybe 4 or 5 episodes of it, and it's pretty good so far. So, yeah, let me go ahead and explain what the plot of this show is about, in case if you guys are wondering. Now, basically, it involves two twins named Dipper and Mabel Pines. They travel to a mysterious town of Gravity Falls in Oregon for their summer vacations, but are shocked after they discovered some strange occurrences and strange things happen. To me, it kind of reminds me of Stranger Things for some reason, because in Gravity Falls, when strange things happen, it kind of reminds me of Stranger Things. I know it's not really entirely like Stranger Things, but I'm getting that vibe every time I actually see this. So, yeah, of course this story was actually pretty amazing. Seeing this, well, whole concept of the show, it basically is a pretty good concept. I thought it wasn't going to be, as good or anything like that, but yet again, it's hard to say. Now, of course, there are rumors of Gravity Falls Lost Legends movie or something, and a graphic novel based on it. It was going to be released later. However, there is a new inspired episode of the new show Amphibia or something. I'm not really sure, but they actually who were storyboard artists and all that. But I am gonna go with the series, the whole seasons and all that, in case if you guys were wondering. So yeah, that's basically I'm gonna sit here and do that. And I'm also gonna sit here and say this. If you're not a fan of the show, I respect your opinion, as I know not everyone is into the show or anything like that, but yeah. So anyways, I'm gonna go with the episodes. There is a pilot episode based on it, and the pilot episode of it is really, really, really different in a sense. So, of course, in this, Mabel and Dipper are both 12 years old. They turn 13 later on in the final, parts of the series. So, yeah. With that said, though, I honestly really liked all the episodes of it. Like, most of them are pretty good. I mean, there was a few of them that were not my cup of tea, per se, but they're still pretty good regardless. So basically, I'm not going to go into full detail on which episode, what the whole episode's about, describing the whole episode in detail or anything, because that would eventually make, the story, the whole video like an hour long. So besides Mabel and Dipper, who are the two Pine twins, they are having vacation with Grunkle Stan, who is, I think, their guardian for this duration of the, summer vacation. And they also have characters like Seuss, Wendy. Wendy is also known as Dipper's crush. Pacifica, who comes in later, and there's like other characters that are involved in it too, like Wendy's ex-boyfriend named Robbie. God, I hated Robbie in the show ever since I watched it. I hated that Robbie was such a jerk towards Wendy, which there's one episode that I really did not like Robbie on because he was such a total ass. But yeah, I'm gonna get to that later. Mabel's weird new boyfriend encloses on some strange and secrets that Dipper finds in a mysterious journal is basically what the first episode of it is. Now, the second episode, which is the legend of the Gobble Wonker, basically it's about Dipper and Mabel hearing rumors that a sea monster lives at the bottom of the lake. So Suze has to take them down with a boat to see if the monster really exists. I think with that one, they got inspired by the Loch Ness monster story. I'm pretty sure that's what inspired that. Like the Kraken in Ben 10 kind of was inspired by the Loch Ness monster. And in the statuary candidate is, well, Grunkle Stan deciding to run for mayor. And of course, they have to have their work cut out for them trying to turn their prone uncle into a perfect candidate. Of course, we have a fourth episode, which is pretty interesting. But they have other episodes like The Tooth, which basically is about, well, Wendy and her friends invite Mabel and Dipper to go to this abandoned convenience store, and they end up, getting weird and strange vibes when they go in there. Of course, there's also Dipper versus Manless, which involves Dipper learns to be a man, which is pretty interesting. And we have Mabel's Guide to Dating, which basically Dipper wants to ask Wendy on a date, but he can't find the courage to tell her himself. So there's that. I really like the episodes with Wendy and Dipper interaction in it. It just was what a lot of people really like about Dipper and Wendy together. But if you don't ship Dipper and Wendy, I respect your opinion if you don't ship them. I know not everybody does, and I'm willing to respect that. Irrational Treasure, which is another episode where we finally get to meet Pacifica, who is around Dipper's age and Mabel's age. The Time Traveler's Pig, which basically involves Dipper wants to travel back through time so then he can when he can be ask Wendy out. But of course, Mabel wins a pet pig at the fair, and things just don't go as planned. So, episode 10 of Gravity Falls involves, Dipper is shocked to see his favorite video game character come to life to fight Robbie when, yeah. And that's one episode I remember Robbie was a jerk ever since that episode. I knew he was a jerk. We, of course, have the 11th episode, which has a realization of, Mabel realizing she's taller than Dipper. So, yeah, that's it's a pretty interesting episode. Summerween, which is basically a Halloween special of Gravity Falls. I honestly found this one to be, a pretty good Halloween special. Although, the reason why it was made Summerween, I think because the episode air date was made in 2012 on the 5th of October. So, I guess that's why they decided to make some, inspirational scary, skeletons episode. We have Boss Mabel, who basically involves, Mabel thinking Grunkle Stan's a terrible boss, so she thinks she could do it, but yeah, no, how that goes. TV shorts, there's basically Stan and Seuss and Mabel accidentally fall into a bottomless pit. So it's actually something. Like, it's a really weird episode, I'm not gonna lie, but it's still pretty fun and interesting. Now, the deep end is when we get to see Dipper and Wendy interact more, and and Mabel found a merman in there that needs to be home to his family. A Little Gift Shop of Horrors is another episode that involves, a sleepover, the going wrong and all. Carpet Dream or Carpet Demi. Sorry if I'm, mispronouncing names. I'm not that great at pronouncing them, so please don't get mad with me. Lamb Before Swine basically is a pretty interesting concept, which is a prehistoric beast. It's kind of like a Lamb Before, like it's kind of like almost remind me of Lamb Before Time because it has the title Lamb Before Swine. Like instead of Lamb Before Time, it says swine instead of time. So that's pretty much just a Lamb Before Time reference, which I really do like about it. And we also have Dreamscapers, which, oh my goodness, it's a pretty dark episode. Like, I mean, some of the Gravity Falls episodes you see right here are dark. I just thought I would let you guys know. Some of them are dark, but others are not that dark, surprisingly. The next episode is Gideon Rises, which involves Gideon wants to, take over the Mystery Shack, and yeah. I mean, Gideon was an alright villain, but he was quite annoying at times. Like, if you like him, that's fine, but I just found him annoying in this part. So, then that's the episode for season 1 to end. Now we get to season 2. Starts out with Scareoki, which includes the Pines family getting back to normal after the Gideon situation by throwing the Mystery Shack's back party, which is pretty neat. I really do find this one to be, quite an enjoyable start for the first second episode. Now, Into the Bunker is where things got really interesting. Like, basically, when Dipper's secret journal leads him to a hidden bunker, and that's when Dipper confesses his feelings for Wendy, but Wendy claims that says she's too old for Dipper. Well, yeah, I mean, she's not like 18 or anything. She does look like she's 18 when she's actually 15 and Dipper's like 12. So, yeah, that's like a little bit of an age gap thing. But, I mean, my parents are like 9 years apart. They actually got married when they're 9 years apart. It doesn't bother them. The age gap doesn't really matter at times, but it would have to depend on the situation. If you're 18 and someone you like is like, I don't know, 11 or something, then yeah, that you shouldn't be dating anyone who is underage at the time because, well, it's just wrong. You guys could probably understand where I'm coming from. Now, the Gulf War is not my cup of tea episode, but it's still interesting. Where Pacifica was being, trying to get Mabel was challenged to a mini golf, but it gets out of control at this point. So this is another episode where Pacifica is in it. I mean, Pacifica was a brat, but she's not like that very much in some episodes. Sock opera basically is attempt to look to a local puppeteer. Mabel decides to throw a huge sock puppet rock opera. So it's pretty interesting. Really is. Seuss and the Real Girl basically involves, Seuss wants to get a girlfriend, but of course he needs a date for his cousin Reggie's engagement party. So, yeah. It's actually something. It's a pretty interesting episode. The next one we also have is Society of the Blind Eye. This one basically involves like an old man who discovers that the secret for his society is located in the Gravity Falls, which, I mean, I haven't watched the episode in a while, but it's a pretty dark episode at times. I'm not gonna lie. There is Bleeding's Game, which involves the Blandon, I think that's what it is. I think that's how you say it. Returns to confront Mabel and Dipper in a fight where they can trap them in jail forever. The Love God, which is another episode that involves it basically involves it's a ninth episode of the Gravity Falls of the second season. And to summarize this, it basically involves Mabel takes a matchmaking too far and steals a love potion from the real love god because Robbie was, sad that Wendy got, broken up with him. So when Mabel wants to match him up with, Tambry, which is Wendy's best friend. Like, I mean, that's a pretty interesting episode where Robbie becomes a jerk, but at the same time, I really hate Robbie at the same time. Now, here's not what he seems. It's basically after the government agents take Grunkle Stan into custody, Dipper and Mabel question on how much they really know about Grunkle Stan, which is a very pretty pretty how to put this in the most possible way. Pretty interesting episode. Not the episode I was expecting, but still. Of course, we do have the Tale of Two Stands, which we get also Stanford or something like that, because he also appears in this episode as well. And we also have Dungeons, and More Dungeons, which basically, if Dipper finds an unlikely friend to join with his newest obsession, a board game called Dungeons, and More Dungeons. It's a pretty interesting episode, how it's like, evolving dungeons and that. It's pretty interesting. Of course, we have the last Mabelcorn, which basically is Dipper and Mabel we're seeing this little like unicorn corn thing, and yeah, it's pretty interesting. And Gideon is also in this episode. Roadside Attraction, which comes after that episode, which includes Grunkle Stan goes on the road trip to sabotage all the tourist traps in Oregon while Dipper tries to flirt with some girls on the open road. Let's just say it doesn't really work out that great. Now, the next one is a really awesome episode. I really like this episode a lot, and that is called Dipper and Mabel versus the Future, where Mabel plans for her and Dipper's 13th birthday, but of course, they ended up going to the future of what they would be, seeing in the future, which, in my opinion, I really found this episode to be, enjoyable, seeing the future of its own self. Of course, we have another episode I forgot to mention, which was Boy Crazy. I don't know why it was not listed in the Gravity Falls episodes list I'm seeing. Well, maybe I might have bypassed it. I don't really know for a fact. But I do remember the episode where Robbie asks Wendy out on a date again after Wendy breaks up with Robbie in the previous episodes. So Robbie ends up hypnotizing Wendy to get get her to go out with him. So Grunkle Stan and Dipper try to get them to break up. But of course they found out that Robbie was actually hypnotizing Wendy, and that really pisses Wendy off. Like, I wouldn't be happy if, if I met a boy who did that. But thank God I don't meet any boys that are like that. So, yeah. I did in the past, but that's all in the past, though. Not going to go into detail. Now, the last episodes involve the Weirdmageddon. Now, the Weirdmageddon part 1 involves, just gibberish words, which I can't really say. But Weirdmageddon part 1 is like an apocalypse meant by villains old and new, and yeah, it's a pretty interesting pasta, I'm not gonna lie. I really do like how, it has this is like a good startup for it. And I'm gonna say the Weirdmageddon, all 3 parts were very dark and messed up. Like, the first part of it, which I'm explaining now, is pretty dark and messed up. Now, Weirdmageddon 2, which is called Escape from Reality, where Dipper, Seuss, and Wendy have to save Mabel from a strange world while build forces of their plan for their next move. Which, I mean, the Weirdmageddon Part 2 was pretty interesting. Like, the fact that, Mabel has her, own little planet or something. It's pretty neat. I'm not gonna lie. It's pretty neat in my opinion. I really do like how, Wendy was, driving. She was, badass looking in the movie. The show. So I really do like how that went out. It's a pretty good concept for, the whole ordeal. Now, next one we have, the final episode, Gravity Falls, we have is Weirdmageddon Part 3, which is called Take Back the Falls, which Ford discovers Bill's true motives, and the final confrontation with Bill leads to Pine's family's ultimate fate and their greatest sacrifice. And that's basically, the final episode of it, where Mabel and Mabel and Dipper ended up going all the way back back to back back to their hometown for the school year. So yeah, it's pretty nice ending, but although I really would have to say I really do wish that Gravity Falls did have a season free. I really do wish that if they did have season free, then that would be amazing. Although I'm gonna sit here and say this right now, a lot of people really want Gravity Falls season free. I did make a video on what I want to see in Gravity Falls season free last year. So if you guys want to check that out, feel free to. It's somewhere down in my videos. I think I made that back in October or September. I'm not really sure when I actually made that. But if you guys want to go check it out, feel free to go back into, my videos, if you go to check out my videos I uploaded, you should probably see it. But in my opinion, I really found this one to be, a pretty good show. I really recommend it if you guys are like a Disney fan. Now, I first saw the commercial of this, and at first I thought I wasn't going to like the show. But then after giving some thought, I decided to go ahead and watch it, and I really like it. I didn't find this one to be bad at all. I actually found it to be, enjoyable and amazing. I really recommend it if you guys really want to, find a good Disney show, because, most Disney shows nowadays just are not that great, but Gravity Falls is one of the best shows that I love watching. And if you guys really like Gravity Falls, feel free to let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Now, anyways, yeah, I'm the Queen of Lions, and if you happen to be brand new here on my channel, like, comment, and subscribe, because I make brand new videos every single day. Ring the bell if you want to get notified to when I upload. Also, what's your opinion on Gravity Falls? What are your thoughts on it? I thought it was it as pretty good show, especially for, something made in 2012 and 2013. If you guys want to check out this show, there's episodes of it online you could watch, but you can also feel free to let me know what your thoughts on the show are in the comments below, because I would like to hear what your thoughts on. And as always, I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.